Clemson's defense is going to return an incredible starting defensive line. Christian Wilkins moving back to defensive tackle from end, where he was forced to move last year when there was injuries. You have Dexter Lawrence, a rising sophomore, who is just an unbelievable freshman, huge guy in the middle. And then a defensive end, you have Cleveland Farrell, who's really come on, had an incredible Fiesta Bowl against Ohio State, and Austin Bryant, who returns from injury. Some concern on that defensive line. That is an awesome starting D-line. But there's been some things that have happened over the offseason that just kind of pulled from its depth. And Clemson likes to cycle the guys through, give them rest, keep them fresh, wear down the offensive line. But it's going to be a little tougher this year. You have Chris Register as a backup. You have Niles Pickney, Albert Huggins. There's some backups, but you've lost some great backups. Carlos Watkins was a starter last year, and he's departed. But Scott Pagano would have been probably a backup, but he would have got plenty of snaps as a defensive tackle. And he transferred to Oregon, which was a little odd, but it's a graduate transfer. I suppose he just wanted playing time or really the spotlight of being a starter. So he'll be there. He'll be probably one of their best defensive linemen. So losing him is tough because he would have gotten plenty of snaps, even though he's not a starter. And then we lose two defensive ends. One, Richard Yergin. He was going to get a lot of snaps as a backup defensive end. Accident, had an injury similar to what Mike Williams had with his neck. Should be fine long term, but he's not going to play pretty much at all this year. And then Samuel Davis, he was a defensive end we recruited out of Bamberg a while ago. Was kind of a reach recruit, maybe a guy you get to keep that connection with the high school in Bamberg, where a lot of good DNs come out. But he never gained the weight, never was really able to be a D1 ACC Power 5 kind of defensive end. He went ahead and transferred. So not a lot of depth there. So we really unbelievable starting four, but you can't have an injury.
Ryan, you're doing a nice job, not just as analyst, but as host, because the segue there, as you mentioned, both defensive line depth and you used the term Alabama-esque in relying on the defense and then the running game to support the quarterback game management play. Had a conversation with my Alabama guy, Stephen M. Smith, yesterday, and we were talking about the defensive line there at Alabama. He has the same type concerns. Great front four, the depth of concern in terms of proven players. Sure, they've got the 4 and 5 stars next to the names, but they haven't proven it. And there might be some concerns there because I think that football has changed in 10 or 15 years, and the emphasis has been on the spread formation and the pass attack and playing in space. But the other big change in college football has been reliance 10 to 15 years ago on 4 to 5 guys up front to play every down and be elite players and to get after the quarterback and stuff the run. Now you need a rotation because football coaches have determined that the guy that's that much worse is better when he's completely fresh before in place of the guy that's running on fumes that's just a little bit better of a player. And so the Clemsons of the world and the Alabamas, Ohio States, there's only a few teams around the country that can make this claim that they can run through 7 or 8 guys that are almost as good as each other to play down to the fourth quarter in those game-winning drives that can be shut down. And as you mentioned, Clemson's been able to do that the last couple of years, and it remains to be seen if they're going to have that kind of quality depth along the defensive front this year.
That's right. It's definitely a concern. Now, Clemson lost some great players on our defense with Ben Boulware, Jadar Johnson, Cordray Tankersley, but they don't lose a ton of players overall, and so they should be strong in all 3 units. Secondary linebackers and up front. The depth in the defensive line is just a concern.
As an ACC observer, I would like to see somebody else jump up and challenge Clemson and Florida State, but it has become the de facto championship game in recent years. And once again, it shapes up to be that, as Clemson has been the better team the last couple of years, but Florida State looks very primed to be possibly the better team with an experienced quarterback in play, a known factor, but Clemson with that time to prepare. And certainly we cannot discount the Tigers to reclaim their championship there in the ACC. All right, Ryan Cantor from Shaking the Southland. Please join him there for the best in Clemson football coverage. Right, Ryan, we appreciate the time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.